Hey everybody, this is Josh with Down to the Roots. This is the second update video on my little seed starting comparison I've been doing. Now, this is day 25 of the comparison, so we're almost 4 weeks in. Now you can see I've already potted up the tomatoes into 1 gallon nursery pots. I'm hoping to be able to house them long enough until they can go out into the garden, because they will be able to go out into the garden here in probably about 3 months, I think. About mid-May, 1st of May, somewhere around through there is whenever I set my tomatoes out. But I'm hoping to be able to house them long enough to put them out into the garden this season. The cucumbers, I've only potted up 4 of them. 2 of them, 1 out of each mix, was looking kind of poor, so I just went ahead and tossed them and only potted up 2 in each mix, because I'm limited on space anyway. But I put them in 1-quart containers. I probably won't be able to house them long enough to go out into the garden, because once they get started they do grow pretty quick. But I am going to keep them as long as I can, just to keep the experiment going. And the kale, I have left them in their little containers, because they will be able to go out into the garden here in a couple of weeks or few weeks. So they should be able to survive in their containers long enough to go out into the garden. As far as the mixes, this front row here is the Ocean Forest mix, and the back row is the Vermicompost mix. With the tomatoes, the Vermicompost mix might look a little bit better, but overall they are all really close to the same size. They have grown the same rate. They're on the same set of true leaves. Color is pretty close to the same. So I would say for the tomatoes, the seed starting mixes are really close to one another, and the Vermicompost mix might be just a little bit better. Now with the cucumbers, with the 2 different mixes, you can tell a pretty big difference. I mean, the Vermicompost mix, they are bigger, they seem to be a little bit healthier, and they are growing quicker because they are farther along on their second set of true leaves compared to the Ocean Forest mix. So for the cucumbers, I would say the 2 mixes are pretty close to one another, but the Vermicompost is a little bit better for the cucumbers. With the kale, they look really close to one another. I would say the Vermicompost mix do seem a little healthier, like texture of the leaves and how fast they're growing and everything. I do think they are healthier, but overall they all look the same. So I mean, as far as the experiment goes, or the comparison, I would say overall the 2 mixes are really close to one another. If not, the Vermicompost mix might be just a little bit better. But that is really good news, because it's cut my cost by about 80% using my homemade vermicompost to make this mix versus buying the expensive potting mix to start these with. So I will be able to put those savings into fertilizers or more seeds or stuff like that for my garden. So that is pretty good news. But I probably won't do another update video on these. I will be keeping the tomatoes until they go out, so if I do see a big difference in them, I will make another video on them. But as far as like if I put fertilizer in them, I am going to give them all the same amount of fertilizer, the same type of fertilizer, so they do stay in the experiment that they are in. That way I know if the 2 different mixes are different, say another month down the road, then I will make a video if they are different. But as of now, they look like they're going to be really close to one another, but only time will tell. I know I mentioned before the little volunteer tomatoes, like in my last video I think, but right there's one of the little volunteer tomatoes. I don't know if I can get a good picture of it or not. But that's a little volunteer tomato coming out of my kale pot. And I know I didn't plant a tomato seed in with my kale, but I will pluck him out here pretty soon. But for the experiment, I mean, it's been pretty good so far. I will take pictures and post them here at the end of the video, and just give you a good close-up of all of them. That way you can see the comparison of them like I did in the last video. But thank you for watching. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, just leave them in the comment box below, and we'll see you next time. Bye.